Hi, my name is Ricardo Bear. I'm the creative director on Mooncrash and Prey.
So Ricardo, talk about what you're showing new here with Mooncrash and Prey. With Prey.
Yeah, so earlier this year we released Mooncrash, which was a DLC for Prey. And so today we have, we're going to do a live stream. We're going to play through Mooncrash and we're going to comment, we're going to take questions from the fans a little bit. And then later this year we're going to release Typhon Hunter, which is a multiplayer experience.
First of all, talk about Mooncrash for people who don't know what it is.
So Mooncrash is an interesting take on Prey. It has everything you love about Prey. It's basically takes place on the moon. There's a station, there's a moon base that you have to figure out what happened. So you get to play as 5 different characters. You unlock them as you go, and every time you go into the moon base to discover what happened there, things are different every single time. So like the creatures you face, where they show up, all the loot that you find, even your goals change randomly between different runs.
What are some of the challenges when making a mode like that in a game that's relatively a single-player campaign experience?
Well, one of the challenges we ran into is that Prey is a heavy, like narratively driven game, right? So there's a lot of environmental storytelling, there's a lot of like narrative elements, and so combining that with the randomly generated procedural elements that are typical in roguelike or roguelite games, that was pretty challenging. But I think by adding the 5 characters that we added and embedding a bunch of their storytelling in the discoveries they make about the moon base, I think we made something pretty exciting.
So talk about the multiplayer you're showing off tonight.
We're not showing that tonight.
Okay.
That's later this year.
Oh, okay.
That's still in development.
We'll talk about some of the multiplayer that you can talk about.
So that's going to come out later this year, and it's basically a short, like punchy experience where lots of fans from the game Prey will of course know the signature creature, the mimics that are in the game. They're those little creatures that can transform into anything and jump out and surprise you. So the multiplayer experience is sort of like a game of lethal hide and seek, where 5 players get to take on the role of mimics and 1 player gets to be Morgan. And it's basically a short round where the mimics hide, Morgan tries to find them and kill them before they kill him.
So talk about some of the balance, because we've seen games that are like 4v1 or 5v1 before,
Yeah.
but they're extremely hard. I personally think they're extremely hard to make in balance.
Yes. Yeah, asymmetrical multiplayer is pretty hard to pull off, but I think we were partially inspired by some games like Gary's Mod that came out a while ago, or like Prop Hunt, which is a really popular mod for that game. And of course, all of that goes back to the classic that everyone has played as a little kid, hide and seek. Hide and seek is an asymmetrical multiplayer experience, right? One person's the hunter and everybody else is hiding. So a lot of the work has been solved for us already in that classic game.
So talk about some of the weapons you'll be able to use in the Mimic multiplayer mode.
So if you're playing as Morgan, if you're the one looking for the mimics, you start with a wrench. So you can run around and investigate all the objects or smack them to try to find the mimics. However, if you get too close and stay still for too long, the mimics can counterattack you, so you always have to keep moving. Occasionally you will find a pistol in the level, and that of course gives Morgan the advantage because now he can stay at range. But the ammo's limited. And then occasionally Morgan can find a psychoscope pickup. So that's the special tool from the game that allowed Morgan to like scan aliens. In the multiplayer experience, it's sort of like that moment in Pac-Man where you turn the tables on the ghosts. When you pick up the psychoscope, you know where all the mimics are for a very brief window, and it's sort of like a panic moment. The mimics all have to run.
Can you talk about some of the objects you'll be able to disguise yourself as in this multiplayer mode?
Everything. It's the same rules from the main game that mimics had. So as long as it's an object that's like roughly the size of a mimic or smaller, it's fair game. So like we're talking coffee cups, bananas, apples, notebooks, phone, whatever. Anything that's in the level that's a physics object that's not bolted down, you can turn into it.
How does level design fit into that mechanic as well? Because that's an important factor as well.
Well, part of it, of course, is populating the level with enough physics objects. And then part of it is making sure that every time you play a match, we deliberately seeded the props so that they're a little bit random, because you don't want Morgan to be able to memorize, the layout of the layout of the props, so that
right.
like he knows like, oh, there's an extra chair there. There's never an extra chair there. Of course, it's a mimic. So there's a little bit of a dice roll on where physics props show up, so that you can't.
And then when will we be able to play these new modes?
So you can already play Mooncrash. That's already out. We're announcing a new update to Mooncrash. It's Rogue Moon, and we are adding a bunch of new skins from indie games that we've been inspired by to the game's rope operators. So you can put skins from like Rogue Legacy, Don't Starve Together, 3 or 4 other games that you can apply these skins to your inside Mooncrash.